Have you ever wondered if your appearance would influence how likely you are to receive help in a time of need? Being a group of people of different races and styles of dress, we were fascinated by this idea and wondered if one of us would have a higher probability of getting the help they needed over the rest of us. We all have seen many movies and TV shows feature characters that use their appearance and attractiveness to increase their odds of success. There are many portrayals of the characters acquiring jobs, raises, or special privileges due to their appearance. We chose to take this a step further and find out if a person's appearance would still influence how likely they are to get help, even in times of crisis, or if the situation was more dire or important. In a similar study that we found online, the experimenters tested the influence of clothing, fashion, and race on the perceived socioeconomic status and person perception of college students. The students were shown photographs of either an African American or Caucasian female model who was wearing a sweatshirt with either a Kmart logo, Abercrombie and Fitch logo, or with no logo at all. After each photograph the participant was shown, they were asked to rate what they perceived the socioeconomic status of the model to be. Just as the experimenters predicted, the participants rated the models wearing the Abercrombie and Fitch logo in the highest socioeconomic category and those wearing the Kmart logo in the lowest. It was also found that in total, the participants rated the Caucasian model more favorably than the African American model. In addition, discrimination was observed by evaluating the sociability ratings of the participants' interactions with models of certain race and dress. This is very similar to the way that we are using difference in clothing and race in our own experiment. First, we composed our research questions. This enabled us to identify and isolate the specific objectives of our experiment. Our research questions were: how does a person's ethnicity affect a bystander's decision of whether or not to assist them if they were in need of help? And how does a person's attire affect a bystander's decision of whether or not to assist them if they were in need of help? We hypothesized that both experimenters would receive help equally and that neither their race or dress would have a noticeable effect on the response of the participants. Rather, what would actually affect their willingness to help would be how much of a hurry the participants were in at that particular moment. For our experiment, our first independent variable was the ethnicity of our experimenters playing the part of the person in distress. Two ethnicities we used were Caucasian and African American. Our second independent variable was clothing type. Our two types were an unkempt, messy outfit and a well put together professional outfit. Our dependent variable was the willingness of our participants to help. Our experiment's procedure is as follows. First, we gathered all of the supplies that we would need. This included one camera phone that was used to film the experiment, another cell phone that was used to record and keep track of our data, an unkempt, messy outfit, and a well put together professional outfit. Once our supplies were together, we went to the location in which we would conduct our experiment. We chose the areas near and around parking lots E, F, and G, which are located just outside of the Valencia West Campus Library, based on the high level of foot traffic. This gave us a large volume of students, who would be the participants of our experiment, for us to select and pull our participants from at random. Upon arriving, Lauren and Kristen, our experimenters who are playing the part of the Caucasian and African American person in distress, took turns attempting to solicit help from students while B discreetly recorded each attempt. To start, Lauren played the role of a Caucasian person in professional dress. One at a time, she was to approach a participant, express to them the difficulty she was having with being able to tell if the tire on her car was flat or not, and ask if they would help her by taking a quick look at it with her. Their response was recorded. Then, the next participant was selected, and the process was repeated until enough data had been gathered. Next, Kristen, who played the role of the African American person in professional dress, was to repeat these steps exactly, with the same location, outfit, and identical statement, so that the only change would be in their ethnicity. Once this was complete, Lauren and Kristen then changed into the unkempt outfits and once again repeated the test exactly.
Hey, I have a question. Do you know anything about cars?
Cars?
Yeah. Like,
Not much.
like I have like a, I think my tire is flat. Do you think you could come help me like check it out?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Like, do you my tire's flat. Do you think you could come up with that? Yeah, okay. It was.
Excuse me. I was wondering, do you know anything about cars? Not really, like about tires. I think my tires.
Friends that do, but not me.
Not you? Okay. Never mind. Thank you. I'm sorry to bother you, but can you do you know anything about cars?
Cars?
Yeah.
A little bit. What's up? What's your
So
car?
I don't know if it's like my tires, like
Where is it?
here. You know me? Okay, wait.
Hi, I have a question.
Sorry.
It's okay. I have a question. Do you know anything? Like, do you know how to change a tire if I have a problem? Would you help me?
Sure. Where's your car?
It's out in the parking lot. It was just for a project. If you can tell me, yes. I don't really need help.
Oh
Thank you, though. Do you know anything about cars?
No.
No, okay.
I don't.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank
You
you.
might want to call our security.
Okay.
Like for a jump or something.
It's just about, like, to check my tire. That's okay.
You might want to call security.
Okay.
Yeah, or they're an SSC.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, what's up?
Do you think you could help me?
Where are you?
Hi, hello. Do you know anything about cars?
Cars?
Yes.
Well, what's wrong with your car?
Hmm?
What's wrong with your car?
I'm trying to figure out if my tire is like flat.
Flat. I mean, I can go look at it, but I don't know. I don't really know nothing about cars, but I can look at it.
Excuse me. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Do you know anything about cars?
You said what?
Do you know anything about cars?
Cars?
Cars.
I know a little something.
A little
about
bit.
cars. What's up?
My tire, like I don't know like what's wrong with my tire.
It's flat?
I don't know, like I'm trying to figure out if
What do you mean?
like me like trying to like it says something on the
Let's go check it out.
Hi, excuse me. I was wondering, do you know anything about cars? No? No? Okay, thank you.
Looking at the data we collected, although the differences were very minor, we observed that overall, the African American in distress was offered assistance more frequently than the Caucasian in distress. We also observed that when our experimenters were dressed in their unkempt, messy outfits, they received help more frequently than when they were dressed in their nicer, more professional outfits. These observations do not coincide with our hypothesis, as we hypothesized that under all situations, the experimenters would receive help equally. However, due to inconsistencies and errors during our experiment, our sample size being much too small and our experiment being too short in duration, a proper conclusion is unable to be made. By starting off the interaction with the participants with the question, "Do you know anything about cars?" those that answered no were not refusing to help, but instead were merely answering the question that they had been asked. We are therefore unable to know if they would have helped had they realized that what was supposed to have been asked of them required practically no knowledge of cars. There are many things that we could have done differently in our project. Our experiment failed due to several major reasons. Our first mistake was in the way that we phrased our plea for help. During the course of the experiment, the phrasing drastically changed from merely asking for a quick second opinion on the status of a tire to asking for help with changing the actual tire as well as other things. The phrasing should not have started with an inquiry on their knowledge of cars. Instead, it should have been a straightforward and clear request for help with a simple task. It should also have been asked in the exact same phrasing and manner each time. Our second mistake was in the size of our sample. For better results, we needed to have had a much larger sample size. More things we could have done differently included having our experimenters wear the exact same outfit for each category and selecting outfits with a more pronounced difference in style. In conclusion, although the data we gathered showed that those of the African American race and those who are dressed in an unkempt manner were more likely to receive help, due to inconsistencies throughout our experiment, those results cannot be considered conclusive. While we believe that our study had the right idea and intent in isolating conditions where discrimination could occur, we would need a larger sample size along with these minor changes in order to be able to prove this conclusively.